Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Hands. We love chatting music on this podcast. Today is no exception. Independent artist Nathan James is in the building. I'm thrilled to have you. Welcome.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Happy belated, but kind of sort of recent
Oh
birthday.
yeah, birthday,
I,
yeah.
so, what'd you do to celebrate?
Well, I was on tour when it was my actual birthday and I had a show that night. So that was the birthday. And then when I got home was more of the birthday. My girl had surprised me with a bunch of like just cool different stuff in the room. And I had a big old birthday cake that she had made all cool and stuff. And yeah, it was a big surprise when I got home. So yeah, that's what I did.
That one didn't get smashed in anybody's face, or
No,
did
that one did not. Yeah, that one did not. I got
it?
smashed in my stomach.
That's where it should be. No, well, to talk about that, we're referring to social media. Fun video that I saw on social media too. You are killing it on the socials. I love seeing what you share, and seeing what you share kind of tells me that you're really not the kind of guy that's okay with being put into any type of box personally or sonically. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so. Um, because there's certain things you want to be, considered as and known as, but then there's also things you don't want to be, like you said, like put into a box. And but yeah, I mean, I just like to create stuff, whether it's with my music or if it's with just other like artsy things. Like I just like being an artist with whatever it is that I'm doing. You know what I mean? There's no really right or wrong. It's just kind of like whatever I feel like doing, I'll do it and try to make it good.
Yeah. When did you realize that you were a creative person and you were probably going to follow that path?
I was always creative, and creativity comes so many different ways, right? And like when I was a younger kid, like I was always creative with just in terms of like what I did with playing outside, building forts, just doing I was always building, making, creating, doing something, you know what I mean? So that creative like energy to always want to build or create something has always been there. And I'm glad that it was, and a big shout out to my mom because she's a artist herself, an art teacher, not like a musician, but an artist in terms of like a painter, a sculptor, and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I think a lot of that creative juice comes from her, and yeah, I get a lot of my just kind of just fuck it, let's do it from her for sure.
Yeah. Does growing up in Denver foster that creativity or does it hinder it?
Uh, I think well, because I grew up in a little town called Louisville, right? And it was like 10, 15,000 people. It was a real blue collar town. It's getting much more gentrified now.
Mm.
Um, but in that town, there was no like, hey, be an entrepreneur. There's no one who like does anything like outside of the town. It's just very just like the town activities.
Mm.
Um, so I think it would hinder it growing up there. Because it's just seen as growing up in Louisville, Colorado, get a job and then, do that for the rest of your life. Being an entrepreneur is not really like a thing.
Yeah. So when was your first opportunity to really spread your wings creatively and have fun with
Uh,
that part of it?
yeah, it was just when I was really into sports too when I was younger, and I played college basketball, and I had these two knee surgeries, and from those surgeries I couldn't play anymore, and that's when I really started getting into like painting shoes and stuff, and that's what like sparked it into the whole creative realm, and then seeing that hey, not only is this what I like doing, but also I can make a career from this and my own business from this, and that's was the first thing that led to where I'm currently at now with uh the music side of things.
Yeah. And you've talked a little bit about your musical influences before. It was refreshing to see you talk about them online. I mean, not just your influences, not just musically, but aesthetically too. For anybody that doesn't know, you're a guy that blends hip hop and metal icons. I mean, you've
Yeah,
mentioned Slipknot, you've mentioned Manson, you've mentioned Rob Zombie, Korn, 50 Cent, Eminem. You probably are pretty close to my age, growing up with all them too. Like I can cite all of them on my playlist too. What about them and what about those artists do you think says Nathan James?
um they just don't give a fuck in all the
Yeah.
good ways. Um and I think they are their unapologetic selves, which is like I respect that a lot in people. There's so many people today that are always trying to conform into what they think others will like, when in reality, right, people are gonna hate you or love you no matter who you are. So you might as well just be 100% your unapologetic self, you know?
Yeah. Makes everything else irrelevant other than
Yeah,
your own voice. It's like, well, if nobody cares what they're doing, I don't have to care about what I'm doing and I can just have a good time.
exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's a big aspect right there, you know?
hmm Lately, I felt like there's definitely been a surge in just that blend of metal and hip hop and electronic music. Really, it's common, it's popular. You could even argue it's almost like standard in its own right in music anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
do you feel like mixing genres is a concept that's valued in music now? Now that we've been doing it for a minute?
Yeah, I think mixing genres is huge. I think mixing genres is almost in everything. I think mixing genres is almost in every type of genre as music right now. And I think it's only going to become more and more popular because people always want something new, but people always want something familiar, you
hmm
know? So I think they play they play off each other. And especially with metal, I think there's a lot of cool new things happening with, you know, the metal genre, and I'm excited to see like where things continue to go. Like for example, like Sleep Token. I'm not the biggest fan of Sleep Token, but I really respect what they do, and I like what they have done. Not the style of music I want to listen to, but damn, what they do is really genius and
Yeah,
really great. And I have a lot of respect for those guys. It's some different shit. And anyone who can do some different shit and get a mass amount of people to love it is up to some dope ass shit, you know?
yeah.
And I feel like I've been slowly getting maybe more and more into their stuff. Like they had dropped a new song called Caramel,
hmm
and shit's fire. It's really good. It's like crazy. So many, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I can't. The amount of genres in that song alone are like
Yeah,
limitless.
as you know
I
too, it's like
can't.
what in the fuck am I listening to? And that's really hard to do without being obnoxious and annoying. And I think they do it really well.
Yeah, they toe the line because I think they did a great job building a relationship with their fan base. They kind of, I mean, you can almost argue that they kind of took a page from Taylor Swift's book in that they make these like Easter eggs and these searches and like they make their engagement with their fans very interactive. It's a very parasocial relationship almost sometimes anymore. I mean, Sleep Token
Yeah, yeah,
fans
that
ride hard.
yeah, big time. The parasocial relationship is so huge. Um, yeah, Taylor Swift has done a great job of it. Sleep Token is doing a great job of it. Um, yeah, just so much more than, being a musician or being a band is so much more than just that, you know. Um, it's such a friendship, it's such a relationship between you and, your audience. And it's hard when, certain musicians just want to do the music, which is fine, you know what I mean? But you got to do content, you got to do music, you got to interact, you got to, be personable. You got to be so many elements and factors that go into it, along with then having a little bit of luck and a little bit of good timing on your side too. You know?
Yeah. Is that what you want the Chain Gang to become?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, the Chain Gang for me is just Chain Gang for me is just community, right? That's my
Right.
community, and I like to look at it as like a link, like a physical chain link. And every time there's a new link, the chain gets bigger and the chain gets stronger. And that's how I like to look at it. People who support what I'm doing and want to be a part of it, and that's really what the Chain Gang is. So.
Yeah. Has looking at life outside the box and thinking outside of any type of confinement whatsoever, have you always been that kind of person?
What kind of person?
The kind of person that doesn't like confinement, the kind of person that
Oh,
that intentionally chooses not to do things by the book.
yeah. I don't think it's ever been like a hey, let me do this because you know I'm going against the grain. That's never been my motive. It was always just been hey, I want to do this because I want to do it. And
hmm
that goes back to as early on as like elementary school. I would dress so different than the rest of the kids at the school. And that wasn't just to be like, oh, watch me, I'm gonna dress different because blah blah blah. That just went back to just that's what I liked. I've always been just a fan of whatever it is I like or want to do or don't want to do, I'm gonna stick to that, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I heard about the new song Los Angeles. We don't know too much right now, but we know it's coming.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about it? Is it a love note to the city? That was my first guess.
A love note to the city. That's nice. No, mine is
Not bad.
it's it's a RIP to Hollywood. You
Mm,
know, all the Hollywood, you know, Los Angeles is RIP to all the Hollywood bullshit. That's what Los Angeles is about. And I'm talking specifically about certain people and specific people. And indirectly though, I don't quite call them out by name at all, but just that song was written when something happened to me uh, in August and in August of 2024.
mm,
And yeah, with time, it will be, you know, addressed to who that person is, I'm sure. But yeah, there's just a lot of bullshit, you know, being in the industry of music and just industry of entertainment in general. And you deal with the most of it when you're coming up, you know.
mhm.
And yeah, it's just a lot of BS.
Yeah, it sounds like that situation anyway is still fresh for you. And that's probably the best time to write.
Yeah, yeah, it was fresh when I wrote it, and I like to consider like Los Angeles is a much more matured and grown version of my song, The Hangman. So like
Mm,
for people who like The Hangman, Los Angeles is a very like parallel song, but just more grown up and matured, you know?
yeah. Talking about that also revealed that Hollywood Mortician is out in July. We're stoked for it. Tell
Yeah.
us, tell me about the process of making it.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was making Hollywood Mortician, I was in this phase of my life that I was once in when I was like 11 years old, which was just massive manic panic attacks. And I hadn't had that happen since I was like 11, right? And when that happened when I was like 11 years old, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't sleep. It was just like this massive like phobia of eating food, drinking water, going anywhere, leaving the house, standing up, constantly checking if I'm dizzy or if my vision is delayed, like all this crazy shit.
Mm,
And I just had it 10 times worse when I was like in the process of making this album. I would probably say like a month before I made Hollywood Mortician, I was starting to feel that way again. And it just got really bad. And I had to get on Lexapro medication for it, which is a medication that helps with like extreme anxiety like that.
mhm.
And it was terrible. Yeah, it was really hard to write, but I knew I had to get it done. But I was constantly like leaving the room and coming back and then going up to the mic and then walking away and sitting down and standing up. Like I couldn't sit still. I felt it was just like this manic episode of like chaos. And I felt like I was going crazy. And so all these songs were kind of like barely written because I could barely do it. And I feel like I'm always having to be the underdog and defending myself and just kind of fighting through so much bullshit. All these songs that are on the album are pretty much all about the perseverance of just getting through all the fuck shit of just people doubting, you doubting yourself, and just, you know, swimming through the mud alone, really, you know, and just not being a fake motherfucker and confining to what a lot of people do in LA and in which is being chameleons. You know, people
Mm,
will be a chameleon to adapt to whatever situation they need to be in to fit in. And I'm the furthest thing from a chameleon. I'm a fucking wolf, and I'm gonna like stand alone and be myself and stick to my shit and protect my own. And there's not a lot of people like that in Hollywood. There's just a lot of snakes in the grass. There's a lot of chameleons, and you know, people bending over backwards for whatever. You know.
yeah. What do you think brought on those panic attacks?
I don't know. That's the craziest shit is it can happen when you don't even know. You could be feeling fine, all good, everything's cool in your life, and just boom, you know? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, and it can, people misunderstand panic attacks all the time, like thinking like it happens and it goes away, which it can. But for me, it was just like a consistent 24/7 thing
Mm.
for about like 3 or 4 months. And that was horrendous. Like that sounds crazy to say. It doesn't even sound real. Like how what the fuck is Nathan talking about? But yeah, it was just really hard. It was really hard just to maintain. It was hard to just be in my own body, right? Like I was like, yo,
Right.
like I don't feel good. And that's how my song Alienation was even written, is I felt like an alien in my own body, like I didn't belong in me, you know? It's a weird experience to explain, but that was a literally how Alienation was written.
I was going to ask about that because that is, I resonate with alienation too in just a lot of ways. And I mean, now that you brought up mental health into the picture, that made it more personal to me because I've dealt plenty of times with periods of anxiety, periods of
Yeah.
depression, to the point where I've dealt with medication too.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think we forget is that no form of mental health treatment should look the same for anybody else. There's
Oh
a
yeah, that's
number
for
of
real.
ways. Like really, you can do what you want with your mental health in a number of different ways, and I'm glad that we're at a point in society where I feel like we're pretty open about that now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, just mental health in general is so different for everybody. And the only thing I don't like talking about mental health is there's a lot of people who I feel have ruined talking about mental health because they make it worse than what it seems and they try to use it as a crutch instead
Mm,
of just being like what it is.
hmm.
And I'm someone who never wants to use any kind of mental health issues or neurotypical fucking issues as a crutch or a woe is me story. If I talk
Right.
about it, it's because it's just real, and it is what it is. There's no like attention seeking from it, and I see a lot of people use other things for attention seeking, not just mental health, but another big like trend, especially now in 2025, is all the gay shit. Everyone's gay, bisexual, this, that, the other, and they make it their identity. You know, and I think it's important for people just to be who you are and don't try to make your mentalness or your sexual preference or orientation, your identity and try to seek attention from it. I think it's important to tell people and express to people what that is, and be real with people. But, telling versus making your entire, social media all about, one topic constantly and identifying with that for attention because you saw it did well one time, you continue to do it hundreds of times over and over again, I think
Mm,
is goofy. Like me, like for example, I have autism, right? But I don't go around autism flag in my bio. I don't even know if that fucking exists or not. But like, I just wanted to make it known for the longest time. I never told people that I had autism. And there's a couple of videos I made explaining that I have autism, and that was it. I left it at that. I wasn't constantly playing off the autism card for attention or virality or whatever. You know what I mean? And so I see a lot of people do that with all sorts of different shit. And I think that's when stuff gets goofy.
does your autism or mental health really impact your day-to-day life very much? Because I know that autism is a spectrum. For some it does, for some it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely does. But I've learned to, with autism, you have strengths and you have weaknesses, right? And I've really learned my strengths and my weaknesses a lot. And I've known how to mask those things and to get better at those things and handle those things and address those things. Um, so for me, out in public or talking to people, they're not really going to know that I have autism, which is great. I don't want people to know just, that I have that, but I'm also not afraid to tell people that I have it. Um, but yeah, there's things, like I said, I have weaknesses with and strengths with it. And,
Hmm.
you know, I handle it that way. It's not a weakness or it's not an issue if you know how to handle it.
Right.
And
And I think
that's the biggest thing.
yeah, and just when it comes to communication, sometimes disclosing those sort of things can help. Like
Yeah.
it can help the other party learn how you work best, and then there's a better blend of the two
Yeah, no,
involved.
100%. You're dead on the nose with that. Yeah. In cases, explaining stuff can definitely help people have a better understanding of why you are the way you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you run into
Um,
that where you felt like disclosing as much as you have has actually been to your benefit when it's come to either your
yeah.
writing or even just communicating with somebody
Yeah.
on
No,
your grind?
definitely. Definitely. I think it's most important and to be communicated in romantic relationship, you know?
Yes.
Um, that's probably when it's like the most important, and at least in my opinion, of when that's supposed should be communicated, because there's certain things that like I'll do or how I react or how I respond that is not in a malicious way or any way negative whatsoever, but it can come off that way because of just how I'm wired.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it's those moments that kind of make us sit back and reflect and go, "Ooh, I don't like how I moved there. Maybe I need to change, and maybe I
Yeah.
need to check myself too."
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing. Like I said, I don't ever want to use any disability that I have as a crutch. You know, I should be held accountable just as everyone else should be held accountable for their actions. And knowing how to work on those weaknesses and make those weaknesses even into strengths is an important thing.
Yeah. So how are you staying mentally healthy just in the middle of all this new stuff, which is good news, but it's chaotic too. There's a lot happening at once.
Yeah, there's a lot of the biggest roller coaster ride mentally with all this shit that's going on for me right now is when there's not a ton of great news happening,
Mm,
you
hmm.
think it's the end of the world and you suck and you're a lazy bum and you're not doing enough and you should be doing more, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of being a musician is there's these moments of really busy, not as busy, really busy, not as busy, and like you gotta take advantage of the times where not as much is going on because man, mentally and physically, this shit can be so fucking exhausting. Oh my God, it can be so exhausting. And
Hmm.
right now I just came back from like a 35-day tour. I've been home for a little over a week and I'm still just,
Catching
mentally
up.
like just trying to yeah, I'm slowly getting in the swing of things. And even when I tell myself, all right, I'm not going to do no work this first week I'm back, I ain't doing shit. I might leave my phone off. That doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I try as much as possible to be self-aware and take breaks of like, yo, right now you have the ability to rest and relax and not do as much. So take it because you're going to be in a spot soon where you don't have that ability and you're going to wish you had that ability to fucking rest and relax. So like,
Hmm.
no, knowing that's important.
Yeah. And probably staying physically active is
Yeah,
super
like
helpful for me. Like that's one a great anxiety relief right away. Even if it's just walking on a treadmill or moving my body,
oh
like
yeah,
helps get
getting
all
out
that
of your
energy out.
room. Oh yeah, getting out of your room, getting out of the house, doing something physical, especially like working out. Like I'm going to the gym after this. Man, it's such a natural high and it can make you feel so much better about yourself and just feel not tired, not anxious. It's super important. It's probably, one of the besides the physical aspects of physically working out and benefits of physically working out, the mental benefits of working out and exercising are equally are way more actually important than the physical. I, fuck that. They're actually both equally important because your physical goes to your mental goes to your physical. It's all in the same wheelhouse of it all feeds off each other. So
Yeah, it's all connected. Is
yeah,
there ever a point where all of this is happening so fast for you, or at least that's how it looks now, that you just sit back and ask yourself, is this even real? Like, because I have those moments sometimes too.
yeah, I definitely do. I definitely have those moments where sometimes I just feel like where's this gonna go from here?
Mm,
I think that all the time. It's like, all right, I'm here where I'm currently at now, and the unknown is scaring me of how is this gonna continue to turn out? How am I gonna be able to keep doing this? Am I gonna be able to keep growing? Am I gonna be able to? be better, be bigger, do this for the next, X amount of years. Like all those little evil thoughts can creep in your head sometimes. And that's why you just gotta just be present and just literally just enjoy what you do have instead of constantly counting what you don't have. And
Right.
I fall victim to that all the time of looking at what I don't have instead of looking at what I do have.
Yeah. I try and tell myself the same thing whenever I worry about the future. And I also try and tell myself, look, the only way that it's over for you is if you stop working at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. That's the guarantee. Like,
That's you damn right. Yeah, that's definitely the guarantee. You can guarantee that if you stop now, it sure ain't gonna happen. So
no. So as long
yeah,
as you keep working on it, you're already increasing the likelihood that something good will come of it because you're
yeah,
continuing to work at it.
yeah. And you gotta love it. You gotta have fun with it. You're not having no fun, then you're just gonna end up hating it and not wanting to do it. So you gotta make it fun. Making shit fun in life is so important. And it goes for everything: your work, your relationships, your friendships, your career, your hobbies. You gotta make it fun, or it's just gonna fucking die, and you're not gonna want to do it no more.
I know. It's about to get a lot more fun for you. I can't wait. It's about to get more fun for us listening. Hollywood Mortician out in July. Thank you so much, Nathan. I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.